Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm a bassaholic.
Hi, Tyler.
Me and Jake running down the street with a handful of comic books, kicking ass and banging chicks and drinking booze
No, not
and
me.
smoking
Not
weed.
me. I'm married.
Yeah, well,
I'm married.
Jake.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 139 of Off Panel, Off Topic. I'm Jake.
I'm Tyler.
We did it!
Wow. Is that the first time ever?
I think so, maybe.
Wow.
Today, I'm going to be honest, there's
It's a
not going to be
special-
any news.
Uh-huh.
It's mostly just going to be a Dune Part 2 review. If we have time, we can talk about Willie's chocolate
No.
experience.
Just kidding. I'd like to.
I
It sounds
could-
interesting.
Sorry. I could realistically punt that to next week. We'll do a deep dive on it next week and mostly just focus about Dune because I'm a little concerned with time because I'm thinking if it's like the first movie, it's going to be like 2 hours worth of discussion. And
I'm cool with that, man. I fucking love Dune. How long did we go?
you're going to...
How long did we go?
A minute 19.
Hey, all right. Fuck yeah. Should we sing too? Since we already broke
You know
the
what?
seal?
I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone.
So do what you want, man.
I don't really have anything to sing about
And,
yet.
and if anybody's got a problem, then...
Yeah,
What is that fucking song at the end of that drop?
Somebody
I need
is
to know.
rocking a Yamaha
Mm.
fucking a Yamaha keyboard.
And quite honestly, if you got a problem...
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got-
Haters and trolls.
Hey, bro. I don't like being a drop.
Hey, listen. This is Mark Wahlberg.
Prayers up.
Hey.
Have you seen that shit?
I don't know if you know me, but I'm totally Christian, yo.
Oh, Catholic.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever makes you money in this world, Mark Wahlberg.
Why?
See? I'll sing about that. Mark Wahlberg. Whatever makes you money.
If you're
is
listening
what
to the
is
show at this
cool.
point-
It's your fault. It's your fault. Be mad at yourself.
Okay, yeah. Most of this episode, we're going to be talking about Dune Part 2.
No. Yes.
And it's mostly, I mean, we're going to talk about the whole movie. So, spoiler-free.
Yes,
Spoiler-free thoughts.
I am
of
so
this
excited
movie.
to use the pizza time because we haven't done it. Did we even use it? I almost said. Did we even use it for the Marvels? Did we even do the Marvels? Like we watched it.
What?
Remember? But did we even do pizza time?
No, we didn't. Because nobody was going to see that movie. I'm just kidding. Hey. Don't look at me. Look at the box office.
So
I don't know why I went Boston in my defense.
yeah.
Box
Hey,
office.
what are you doing over there?
Sloppy.
So. So
I've been killing it today.
here, let me just tell you. Let me just tell you one thing. If you are a fan of the book and you've read the book, spoilers, whatever. I mean, there's
Well,
not really a lot that can be spoiled for you.
I kind of
You
spoiled.
should know.
I kind of spoiled this movie for myself in a way because I did look ahead. Because when the first movie's coming out, I went in blind, enjoyed it, liked it a lot.
I would have loved to have been able to do that.
And the second, but my problem was I was too interested, so I wanted to know where that ended and what happens in the. So I kind of already had an idea, or I pretty much knew where we were getting to by the end of this story.
Okay.
And I mean, is it really that spoilery? I mean, the next story is Dune Messiah. I mean, it kind of lays bare in the next.
We're basically gonna say one or two sentences about how we felt about the movie without spoiling.
Yeah,
anything.
and I will say this.
yeah, but
It is, and like, of course, we're going to probably be like everybody else. You and I both really, really like this movie. We love this movie. And
I don't want somebody who's going in who hasn't still read the book.
It is a visual masterpiece.
Yeah.
It is a feast for your eyes, and you know that because of Denis
Villeneuve.
Those
and
words.
not Deakins. I can't remember the name of the
the cinematographer.
DP.
Or the deep, yeah, because it was the same one on Blade Runner, wasn't he?
Yes, but he's quickly showing a lot of wow.
But yeah, we saw,
To a lot
most
of people.
not in the box office, but a lot of people really liked Denis Villeneuve's style.
Denis,
I said Denis.
say it with me. Denis
Denis
Villeneuve.
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 Wow.
Denis, yeah. So you were saying,
Like I
Well, I don't know
clearly
anymore. You
that
made me say
man
his name a
has a
bunch.
love for it, like how he's even said recently, like he doesn't like dialogue as much. He loves being a visual storyteller, and sound and the image is what
anybody who
makes
saw
movies unique.
anybody who
And-
saw Arrival knows this. I mean, there's dialogue in Arrival certainly, but a lot of it is told in moments. And I mean, the sound design, didn't it win an Oscar for how it made the alien sound and whatnot? I don't know. Anyway,
I think he was nominated, but like
like we give a fuck what the Academy thinks.
this movie is made in such a way that it's truly
A beast.
quintessential what I have learned about someone who just started learning about what Dune is lore wise. It very much is in the past, but also a believable rendition of future. Like, it looks like this was a 60s sci-fi story. Like, it looks like the book looked like it, like a book cover. Like, so many shots in this movie could be a book cover, and that's what makes this movie so, like the first. If you are not like really into this movie after like the first 10 minutes, you're not going to enjoy this movie because the first 10 minutes, like, I'm not spoiling anything. It's a scene early on in the movie where you see the Harkonnen soldiers. They say the words "climb" because they see the trap set for the sandworms.
Yeah.
And it's just a little sound effect, and it's hardly any noise. It's nothing. It's just them just floating up on, and I'm like, this is the coolest shit. And we are not even 10 minutes into this movie. Not even in that. The first shot, I am fucking hooked when it goes power controls spice. What is it? Power controls spice, spice controls power.
Or yeah, it's power or spice controls power, and power over spice controls.
It says
power.
that in this like
It's the Sardaukar language.
Yeah, they're just like mechanical like growl sound. Then the logo. Then we're into the movie. Like, holy fuck, man.
Well, it's that, and then
It's something so simple.
so it's
You know what? Let's
let's do
it.
pizza time.
Let's
yeah.
just do it because we're
I
gonna.
liked it too.
Pizza time.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more time.
In case you didn't get it,
Pizza time.
Just because I miss that guy.
Toby, what's he up to?
What's he been up to, buddy? What have you been up to since you did our podcast as a sound drop?
Was that what you wanted?
Yes.
So anyway.
Boo 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 boo.
Okay, so
boo.
that
No,
first shot of the Harkonnen.
Well, no, because so I want to go along with what you were saying. So keep what you were saying in mind. But the first movie starts off with Zendaya kind of doing like a little bit, her character Chani doing like a little bit of exposition at the beginning of the movie. Then it says Dune Part 1, right? And this movie, it basically takes the same kind of segmentation in that it has that voice at the beginning, like the first one does. Then Irulan does her
Florence
exposition.
Pugh has a narration. Yeah.
Right, and that's the same kind of thing that Zendaya does in the first, right? And then it does Dune Part 2.
Which, again, what I love about this movie is it truly feels like you can watch
Huge.
you can watch this thing back to back, and
I'm gonna.
but it's done in such a way that like the recap is what I think would probably be in the like it does feel like in beginning of a chapter of this part of the book, and so like it does a good job of catching you up a little bit, reminding you what happens. in
Well,
a very
the
broad terms of
yeah.
like just, hey, the Atreides are dead. Paul's the only one alive.
The book is split into 2 books. Okay, it's part 1 and part 2. Okay. Part 1 is basically the fall of the House of Atreides, and part 2 is the rise of Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple, and Villeneuve was like, I'm having trouble now. You fucking dick. Villeneuve even admitted, he's like, it's pretty simple to stop it in one spot. You just,
Yeah.
if you know the book well enough, like, you're not going to be like, why are you stopping here? So much of the book is just, there's so much shit that happens after this, and you start seeing a lot of that coming to fruition with like the jihad. In the book, it's referred. He starts seeing what he refers to as the golden path, and that's what Paul Atreides starts seeing and referring to.
And that's the visions of people dying. And
Well,
people starving.
what happens is that he whips up such a religious fervor among everybody that his Fremen, his Fedakin, go out to other worlds, all other worlds, because now they control the spice. So the Spacing Guild, the navigators who go from place to place, they have to let Paul go wherever the fuck he wants, or else he won't give them any spice. So they're gonna take his army out to the stars, and they're gonna fucking subjugate and conquer. They're going on a crusade and a jihad.
Well, we're getting.
I'm just saying that is.
Yeah, but okay.
We didn't have more visions of that in the movie,
I know.
which I wish we would have.
But I think that
they touch on it. They do touch on it.
No, but I think that's intentional. I think it's intentional because I don't think they were sure they're going to get a third movie, right?
You want to know?
So I think that the way this ends, ends that arc, but also so clearly it's a cliffhanger for another movie, and that's what Messiah is clearly what they want to do next. And I'm not saying they won't, but I'm saying if they didn't, this actually has a good ending to it because you see the future, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
the best vision of that future, of that golden path that he's so afraid of, is actually in the first movie. He has a vision of him and Chani on the ship. I don't know if you remember that or not, but they're standing above like all this like carnage on the ground below and whatnot. It's a scene in the first movie. But look, regardless of how you make a movie or how you adapt a book, any book, you have to take some liberties. Now,
you have to make changes.
Herbert made it was such a good writer that you really could just shoot the book and be like, okay, cool, this is good. But Villeneuve didn't exactly do that. He did make some cuts. We talked about this. Hawat, Thufir Hawat, is not in this movie.
He was a human computer in the first movie.
We know Duncan Idaho isn't, but that's because he died in the first one.
He shows up later in the Dune books.
Oh boy, does he!
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, have you read about that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be funky.
It's like a swamp.
I wonder if
kinda.
Momoa is gonna be. It's like a golem.
Who knows?
It's called a Gola. Anyway.
Who knows?
Here's one thing that I didn't like a little bit. You remember that weird black creature in the first movie when they're talking in the Harkonnens and his Mentat and the Bene Gesserit, and they're in that cone of silence, and she's like, he's like, she said, I want that thing to leave. It was that creepy black thing on like legs and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what the fuck was that? There was a lot of people who were huge fans of the book had a lot of thoughts on what that was, and it's not answered in this movie what that was. So you know what? We want answers, Denis. Do you think?
Give us the
look. Do you think people call him Denis?
I also want to make it very clear. I want this movie to be a success because we need more movies like this. Like I miss, even with the recent Star Wars movies, we didn't have that.
No.
It's been so
cookie
long.
cutter copies
it's been
of the
so
first
long
fucking goddamn
that
Star
we've
Wars.
had a filmmaker take something like this epic fucking story, make it feel important, make it feel impactful, and just epic. And he does it with such fucking confidence.
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot help be absorbed by this movie and absorbed by Arrakis. And there's so many fucking shots of this movie. I just marvel, and I'm like, holy shit! Like you also have to take my perspective. I know the basic gist of this. I know where this ends up. I know what Paul becomes. I know the whole Muad'Dib.
Yeah. Muad'Dib. But the way to say
I
it
will
is
refer to it as just the Messiah.
but
That's just easier.
lean into him. Lean it. Muad'Dib.
Muad'Dib.
Muad'Dib. Yeah, you got it.
Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
The whole character arc.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I didn't get the whole.
That better be on TikTok, is us doing Muad'Dib.
Yes.
Muad'Dib. Muad'Dib.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Well, no,
Muad'Dib.
I thought it's Villeneuve.
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 That's what I said. Muad'Dib.
No, we got half the review.
Kwisatz
is-
Haderach.
Let's talk about enunciation.
Well, let's talk about enunciation and not mumbling.
All right, so I'm just gonna refer to it as Messiah. Muad'Dib. I got it.
Yeah, you fucking got it.
You got it. But I didn't know anything about like how Fremen fight, and like it's so fucking cool. Like the little snorkels under the sand, and then when fucking Gurney, we finally see him in this movie, and when they fucking pop up on the sand around him, that is the coolest shit. Every time the Fremen do like anything in this movie, it's fucking rad. Like just riding the sandworms and like all that shit is so damn cool. And it fucking jolts me every time. They're camouflaged so well in the set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And Villeneuve did a great job
It's
of like
really
bringing that
cool.
to life. Here's one thing you really want to think about when they walk into Siege Tabra, whatever. That cave where it they realize, oh my god, it's like a mansion inside, whatever.
Yeah.
Just imagine this and think about this. Some of those people in that place have never showered in their lives.
Yeah. Because they can't.
Stinky.
Yeah.
Smelly. Real ripe. You get some pheromones going. Some fucking. Sorry. I don't know what I'm
That
talking
comes later in the movie.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
We gotta talk about Fade because he's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, but the point I was trying to make is that he brings to life in the book and in the prequels too, and you know, there's Dune purists who hate the prequels and the final two books, whatever. But in that and in the original Dune books, what you understand about the Fremen is that they have to live in these harsh conditions.
Yeah.
So they have figured out through trial and error, through watching their relatives die because they fucked up or they made the hair wrong decision. You know what I mean? Just whatever. They've seen this, and that's through generations. I mean, this is right around the time of the Butlerian Jihad is when people first come to Arrakis, according to the prequels and whatnot. And so the Fremen have been there for a good 10,000 years or so. By the time we're talking, when the Harkonnens give up the fief to the Atreides because Emperor said so. I think it might have been. We do want to talk about Fade. I think.
Well, okay. So hold on. Let's do again. We're gonna be kind of jumping around here, but that
Let's stay on the Fremen because the reason why they're so good.
I want to keep going on that.
Yeah, Villeneuve did a good job of visually showing that, and the things that they did where they would like trip the guy behind them. They'd wait till the guy walked past him, and then they'd come up, trip him, and then just stab him.
Yeah.
Well, he visually interpreted that really well, and going along with what I was talking about, how they live in those harsh conditions because they have to. That's how they've learned to fight and become one.
They
with
are the desert. That's their.
They have to be right
Yeah.
to survive.
And the fact that they learned how to like in a
this
way.
isn't like being a Jedi and shit. This is because they have to live like
They
this or they
tamed-
will die.
They tamed sandworms because they had to survive. Like if they don't learn how to ride these things or get out of the way of these things, they'll die.
I think I need some Q-tips.
Because they'll just tear them apart. And to see them utilize that, and it's such a cool interpretation of how human beings like find ways to survive even in the craziest, harshest
Right.
conditions.
Yeah.
Humans will adapt, and they will learn. Like any, most species on planets, they'll learn how to adapt and change and use the environment to their advantage.
Yeah.
And it's just but the fact that you get this impression of generations of this, which. Like the fact that they had the little like the mouse and then the fucking like you hear somebody telling it to get away, so you see it's a snorkel.
Yeah.
And to think that a snorkel being used outside of the water is such a weird thing. And how they make the desert feel so vast and empty, like a body of like the ocean and things like that.
It basically is. Yeah.
And that's how your brain can learn to understand it and interpret it. Like these big giant sandworms make sense and like.
Well, the other thing about
It's
living
just
in
a
the
marvel.
desert is every day the landscape changes. There is no map.
Oh, and by the way,
there's no topographical map that would make any sense because the next day all that shit would be different.
oh, by the way, there's also
the
like
wind and
this sand that can make you trip balls because it's this stuff called spice that you could just have. You could just get microdosed like fucking
melange.
Paul
The
does. when he's
spice
eating food.
melange. But yeah, that's the thing about is, in the book and stuff, it's clearly that Paul has these latent powers and going to Arrakis, and then being forced to go, being on Arrakis in general, like that unlocks it. But then when he has to go to the desert proper and live among the Fremen,
Yes.
He is constantly
So-
bombarded by spice. It's in the air. It's in the water
So,
he drinks. It's in
I
the
just-
food
can
he
we-
eats.
Can we just talk about
Yeah.
how brilliant the direction is by Denis because of how you see perfectly this ride, this ride of this character ascending to this Masonic character.
Yeah, messianic
Character, and seeing that happen because like the minute he like says I want to join your people because him and his mom both say we have to convert the non-believers, and this is where you start to see Paul become Muad'Dib, and you see that change because like. The fact that he was like, okay, I need to convert because he's starting to believe his own bullshit. Like he's starting to buy in.
Well, he wants to avenge his father, and he wants to avenge the Atreides name.
Because his family was butchered.
Right.
They try to erase him from history.
Exactly, right. So, I mean, you get that, right? But
So this is why he... And
but-
that's why... Yeah,
but
it's
then
so
he
good.
starts... So, yeah, so...
That's why why the Fremen like him, in a way.
Well,
Some
he's-
of them do. Anyway.
Well, because he's honest. He wants to help them destroy the Harkonnens and take over the spice production because...
They want Arrakis.
He just wants it. I mean, he wants... The Fremen took him in when no one else would, and he knows that he can use them as his army to. They both want the same ends, which is to kill the Harkonnens and to eradicate them from the face of Arrakis, and to control spice production. That's what the Fremen want.
And he says it in the movie. He says, like, I know I was born and bred to fight these dudes.
Right.
Listen to me. I can.
But he keeps having
teach
these-
me how to use the desert. I'll teach you how to fight these guys.
Right.
Like,
He keeps having these horrible visions of what happens if he goes to the south and
That's
meets
where all
up-
the religious people are.
Well, it's basically
Or
where
most of the religious people
where
are.
most of the Fremen are,
Yeah.
but a lot of the religious fundamentalists
God,
are down there.
We got to talk about. We have to talk about
We will, but
that whole arc. I know we keep talking about Paul, and we're kind of.
but that's why he goes to drink the water of life in the book, is because he knows that until he drinks the water of life, he cannot see the future clearly. He can't.
Well,
So that's why he takes the water of life.
I want to talk about that whole.
He
arc.
needs to see what's going on before he meets with the religion. Before he starts going on his golden path, he needs to know what the fuck it is. And then in the book, he realizes that it's basically a bloody jihad that's going to kill millions, billions probably, in his name, in the name of the Atreides, right? So then he already knows this, and he's already made the trip, and it's already happening. He can't stop that. So now he tries to stop. He tries to assuage it. He tries to slow it down. He tries to do everything he can to prevent it and keep it in check. He fails miserably, but what are you going to do?
Well, because you have to understand, by the end of this movie, you go on this journey, and it does. What I think what is so effective about it is because it's such an effective story about vengeance and what it really leads to. Because at the end of the movie, at the end of the day, he gets what he wants. He kills, which we find out later, his grandfather.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was not that shocked by that reveal. I don't remember knowing about it before. But there's some people that were really shocked by that. I was like,
It's downplayed.
and I'm like, well, I already knew that was going to happen because George Lucas you stole that idea in Star Wars.
It's kind of downplayed. I mean, it's not really. It
is, and it's a smart reveal in a sense that it's a twist, and it gives you like a different understanding of his motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it so smart is it gets you. If you don't know where this is going, but you do, but not you specifically, Tyler, but it's trying to get you to be like, all right, you can believe in this guy more. But by the end of the movie, you don't feel like Paul is right, and you don't feel like this Muad'Dib character that he became is the good guy, and you're supposed to question it, and that's what's so great.
Well, he's
about it.
questioning it.
Yeah,
But
because by the end of this movie, it's really hard to root for him because
he's a leader and he's a duke and he has to do what he has to do. People in power, even great leaders have to do distasteful things to rule effectively. And he already knows by the end of this movie that he can't stop the golden path. He can't stop the jihad that's coming. He can't stop any of it. The best he can do is somehow mitigate it and somehow keep it in check somehow. I keep saying somehow. Somehow I can keep this bloody jihad in check right here from Arrakis. Somehow maybe we'll go to X where they make machines, but they ain't thinking ones because that's against the Bible. The Orange Catholic Bible.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing they don't really touch on much in this movie. And I don't think
Gurney is reading his
when
when they touch down on Arrakis in the first movie. He's reading his Orange Catholic Bible.
Oh yeah. But I don't think they really touch on that in these movies that I know.
No, they don't really touch on the religion, which is fine.
Because I mean, obviously, Dune Messiah would deal with that more.
I think they talk about it more in the prequels, but the Orange Catholic Bible, they referred. Okay, so every single chapter or every single new, they're not really called chapters, but every single new whatever starts with a passage from either somebody who's talking or a book that's been written or whatever. Okay, and one of the frequent tomes or one of the frequent books that's used in those or that's quoted on those things before each chapter is the Orange Catholic Bible. Another one is there's like Princess Irulan wrote a history of Paul Muad'Dib, a written history, an oral history of something like that, but that is quoted a lot and taken passages from that book. So this is what I'm talking about, like with the world building.
Yeah.
So this first book, every chapter starts with like these passages from these books that don't exist, but you would think that they do because
it's so and like I said, you can't
fucking intricate.
It's so well thought out.
Yeah.
This world that you cannot help but be absorbed by it, and you can't help but be immersed in it because you believe it, and there's just so much again, confidence in the filmmaking that it doesn't hold your hand. It shows it and like, again, I think it does a good enough job, a well enough job for getting someone with me who knows very little about the lore to show me things, and I can figure, like, it doesn't hold my hand. It just lets me figure things out on my own, and it's such a brilliant movie, man. It's crazy how good it is. And the more I think about it, the more I want to read the books. Like, it's like we joke about my ADHD obsessions, and like, you fucker, you got me. Like, I'm in on Dune. What is this shit? Like, so
It's just
so I want to start reading like Dune,
One of my-
Messiah, and
one of oh Jesus, one of my favorite I'm just holding my
where now?
one of my favorite things about the Dune series that really kind of turned it on for me was all the backstory of like all the different, you know, the Mentats and the Sook doctors and the guild navigators and the Fremen and the Bene Gesserit, and there's a place that they didn't talk about, but it's a place called Ix, and it's where they make like the closest thing that they can make to thinking machines without making, because it's like it's a law. You can't make thinking, like, even calculators.
Yeah, and the ships are like organic and stuff,
right. Yeah, it's yeah, it's yeah.
And human computers and
Well, that's the thing, is that because they had the war with the thinking machines, which again the prequels like talk about, which is cool because they talk about how the Harkonnens and Atreides were once like dear friends, and why they aren't anymore. Like by the time of Dune, why they're mortal
so
enemies.
speaking of the Harkonnen, I will tell you right now.
Well, let me just keep your.
What are we
keep your thought-
doing?
because they because of the thinking machines war and everything, they have to evolve human things to like the utmost. So it's not really science fiction or like, you know, superpowers, but it is, you know. So like the Mentats are like, you know, and the doctors, and it's really cool. That's what I really liked about it. Go ahead. So
I was just saying, come on. I want to talk
well,
about the
I
Harkonnens.
finished my thought. I didn't finish my thought.
Well, because we've been
Sorry.
talking about it for a while. I wanted
I
to
know.
talk about
My bad.
Fade.
Yes.
And
yes.
how he Batista's character
Raban. Raban
is
Raban.
getting fucked up by Paul and the Fremen.
Well, I mean, come on. It's clear that Raban is not a good leader.
Emotionally stable.
Well, dude, he's just around. You show him at that one point when he's in the room where they're looking at everything, at all the, you know, all the spice production going down and stuff because of Muad'Dib, and he's like drinking he's got like a big goblet of wine, and like he's in evening clothes. Like he's not ready for battle. He's not ready for strategy. He doesn't give a shit. He's milking the shit out of that planet for like, you know, for like sex and drugs and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's clearly not there to do a job.
His character definitely gets.
He's a piece of shit.
His
All of them
character
are
really
pieces
kind
of shit.
doesn't get like any. I don't know. His character arc kind of sucks in this one, but I'm assuming that's how it is in the book. I'm not.
I can't remember exactly.
I'm just saying it sucks because I wanted to see a little bit more.
There's
out of
a
his
point where
character,
Raban's head gets sent to somebody. I can't remember, and I think it's the Emperor, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but like, yeah, but that. So anyway, the Harkonnen, yeah,
Harkonnen. Yeah.
the we finally get to see their home planet,
Mm.
and I fucking loved this so much because this to me was a sign of just truly how epic and ambitious this fucking movie is, and
Yeah.
like how much I missed that kind of like epic storytelling, and like to see this arena. And so the whole introduction we have of Fade is we see that the I always fuck up these names. Bene Gesserit are like, they're saying that Fade is supposed to rule over Arrakis. And then we get his introduction, which is Austin Butler, who fucking kills it in this movie. He's
Dude,
so good.
eats this fucking roll for breakfast.
It's so creepy and gross and weird, and it's like such a I love it.
Here's what I know about Austin Butler as an actor and everything. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he added like little touches here and there.
Yeah.
Like if he was like if during scenes when they were rehearsing, he was like, I want to grunt here, or I want to say no,
He
or I want
said
to
he-
do this.
They said he played it a little method with this. Like
I don't
he,
doubt
he
it.
didn't drop out of character entirely after a take.
Hmm.
Like he kind of wanted to stay in it a little bit. And I feel for the level of intensity this character brings, I feel like you have to be like that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be hard to come down from that, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And because his character is so intense.
Yeah.
And you really, like,
Baron Fade Routha.
from the introduction
Harsh,
of him, you're like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. Like, he's just, like, oh, he is worse than Raban because he is more motivated.
Yeah.
And more effective.
Yes.
And
more bloodthirsty.
And the fact that he did like a voice to sound like the Baron and sound like Skarsgård.
I should drown you in your tub.
Yeah, like
that was cool.
I love that little touch of that. And yeah, he's so good in this, man. And he's so like ugh. Every time he's on the screen, I'm grossed out by him. I'm like, ugh.
But you can't help but watch. Like, he's fascinating. Like, he's
He's the chaotic character of the story.
He's so fucking
but
good.
Okay, so the fight scene is where I think this movie is fully like, okay, we are experimenting so much with light throughout this movie and how the reds are so and the oranges are so vibrant when you're on Arrakis and you go to this planet, it is black and white because
They talked
it says,
about
let's
that.
bask under the glorious black sun.
Yeah.
And that's why this is all black and white. And it's like, that's so fucking cool and there's parts where they're walking and you see the light come through.
Yeah.
And it's black and white. And then it goes back to color when they walk out of the fucking shadows, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. When the Baron is coming up to his place atop the whole
you see the
arena.
Yes.
Like he's like in the room, he's normal, and then as he gets to the light,
and the fucking score is pounding in there, and it's this big gladiatorial fight, and I'm still thinking to myself, all of this is happening in one movie.
Yeah.
Because like this feels like a big. In any other movie, this would be like a big, like climactic fight at the end, and this is just like halfway through the movie.
And it's awesome.
And it's an introduction of a new character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just shows you how big and epic that first book is and that first story is. Like this, I had no idea of this character coming into this, you know, and like just
look, let's. I'm gonna say it like it is, and I got to be really, really brutally honest about this. There's comparisons that have to be made to David Lynch's, have to be, just cause.
Yeah.
You have mostly because of look what they tried to do, and look where they succeeded, and look where they failed, and largely look at what Denis did and what he largely succeeded in doing. But Sting was a good Fade Routha, dude. He was, man. He did as good as he could with that role, and that, and he's not an actor, but like during the fight at the end, like, I will kill him.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he's fucking into it, man. He's trying. He's no Austin Butler, don't get me wrong, and I can't believe I'm saying that because he came second. But
I mean,
yeah, you can't.
how can
be
you top this
somebody.
performance, man?
You can't. But I'm just saying, like, you got to give props to Sting for really trying. He tried really hard to be psychotic and as good as he could in that first one.
Other characters I really loved. And I'm terrible to remember that. Rebecca Ferguson's character.
Lady Jessica.
Lady Jessica, that's what it was. She becomes they make a deal with the Fremen because they want Paul to become a Fremen, and they give the conditions of that she has to become their the grandmother,
the Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother,
Yeah.
grandmother. she's grandma to the whole
Hey,
town.
Grandma Bene Gesserit, she's got that. You know what? Here's the thing. If you put your right hand in that box for a little while, she'll give you chocolate.
So she does this ritual. She drinks from the water of life. And she drinks it and proceeds to have an acid trip. And so a friend and I were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like he joked about like the way that I interpret what Frank Herbert was doing with Dune was he read about Islam and then read about it again really high on acid, and then that's how he wrote Dune is what I feel like.
Yeah.
And then you have scenes like this where I could be like, yeah, this is where the acid trip was happening. But it's cool and it's effective and it works for what Dune is, I think.
I think the Islamic. I think the word is Sayyidina, is what they call it. What the Reverend Mother is. It's another word for Reverend Mother.
Yeah.
In whatever Chakobsa or whatever the language is. He uses Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Buddhism and all these different religions, quasi-religions from all over the place, and he just melds it all together and language, and it's fucking brilliant, dude. The guy was fucking brilliant. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, and I think that's like moments like that when Lady Jessica has that transformation. She drinks from the water of life. She has these visions and all these things happening. And this, again, me not knowing what's happening, just knowing the rough outline.
She went fucking hard in that scene, too,
All
dude.
I know about this movie, again, going in, is I know that Paul becomes Muad'Dib. I know that's what happens. I don't know all this bigger stuff happening. So when this ritual happens, and this is like, the music is intense, she's like having convulsions, you don't know what's happening. And there's the moment when the, God damn it, you just told me.
Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother. It's in there.
Fucking write it down. Do you need
Reverend
a notebook?
Mother, you dummy.
Reverend Mother.
There's so many drops we
hey,
could make out of this.
Hey, it's Mark Wahlberg. It's Reverend Mother,
Hey,
you
I'm
fucking douchebag.
Oh, I did the ritual. I'm a Reverend Mother.
You can't fucking remember Reverend Mother? What's going on?
You remember when I played a father? Well, now I'm
Did you see
playing
me?
the
Did you
mother.
see me in The Departed?
Yeah, I saw that movie.
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
So anyway,
Sorry, Mark, Mr. Wahlberg, do you have a guy just walking around behind you playing drops from your movies?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
Hey, well, thanks for answering.
Thanks, I guess.
Yep.
When she does the ritual to become Reverend Mother, the moment where, the one Reverend Mother says, "What have we?"
Well, she dies.
Yeah, she dies because she's passing all of her knowledge.
Right,
and
that's
everything.
how the ritual works.
Right, and as she's happening, she's smiling because she's dying and she's ready to go. Blah blah blah. But then that turns into shock because then she's like, "Oh, what have we done?" And I'm like, "What's that?" But because I forgot about, and I was thinking, why is this movie starting with an embryo? And then the narration by Florence Pugh. I was like, why is that? So then I'm thinking, and then at the beginning when they're dropping the Harkonnen dudes, she's like, the ground's like pounding and she's like grabbing her stomach. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, was she pregnant? I couldn't remember. So then this
Do you remember
reveal,
when they're like, when he's like, hold it in?
Yeah, and she said, how are you? How is she? And it seems like it's implied that he's talking about Chani, but he's actually talking about the kid. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because now I noticed that in this moment. Because when she says, what have she done? She's pregnant. I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck.
The only reason he was saying hold it in is because that's water.
Yeah.
That's moisture that you're losing from your body in the desert. And that can be deadly. So in, Fremen culture, like you don't pee or spit or cry.
Because she cries in the holy place, and he wipes her tear away, and he says,
"Right,
don't waste your tears even on the dead."
Right.
Because she just sees all this water.
Obviously, you pee. Obviously,
she sees all this water, and you're like, well, but these are from the dead, and
But any sort of like any things that we take for granted, like blowing your nose, even like I mean, they do it a different way and or do it in such a way that they save the moisture.
so
So Fremen just don't puke. They probably don't even have a gag reflex. I don't know, and they've probably evolved certain things at this point, somehow. Let me say somehow one more time.
yeah.
Somehow.
But that's another thing that I find interesting about the Fremen and how this story it mixes all this religious stuff, where it's like, so we go through great lengths of this story to tell you how hard it is to live on Arrakis, how valuable water is, like you just said. You can't even like naturally have bodily functions because that's how much you need water.
Yeah.
Right. But then you go to this.
Yeah, I mean, like
This-
you pee and poop normally. It's just
But you go to
just
this,
not as much.
You go to this this kind of little capital that they've built, and then you see all of this water, and it's like, yes, but this is sacred water, and it's like, that's where you see the frustrations in me build because of just how I view religion and how I get and that's what good art does, right? It makes you start to think and question things, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, I get it, I understand. But that's a lot of fucking water. And then that's when she has the moment where she cries and he wipes the tears and says, don't waste your water even on the dead. And I'm like, again, there's a lot of water there. Like, you don't have any problem sucking the water out of the the Harkonnen when you kill him. Right? Or Harkonnen, whatever the name is. I always fuck that up.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
I can't word. Word hard today.
I can't word.
I don't get it. But, I don't know.
So Zen Sunni is the name of the religion that they practice, and in Islam, Sunni Muslims are a sect of Islam. And if you ever heard about a country called Iraq?
Wow. No, tell me more, Tyler. What's Iraq?
Yeah.
What's the deal with Arrakis? Frank
So
Herbert.
there's Shia Muslims and there's Sunni Muslims, and I urge every fucking one of you, please go and Google it somehow, some way. Let me say those two words again because that's the theme tonight. Somehow, some way. So, but there's Sunni and Shia Muslims, and I urge you to go and look. Don't laugh
I'm sorry.
during this part.
I'm
I know you're
laughing, but how
No.
do you segue like
Jake's
that, man?
Jake's laughing at the
I'm laughing at how you
singing,
sang
yes.
and then went into
absolutely.
that.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, hey, just away from the mic, motherfucker. You can laugh, just don't let other people know you're laughing. Jesus, it's called radio professionalism. I don't understand. So there's
This is a podcast, Grandpa.
so there's Shia and Sunni Muslims, and I urge you all to look up why there's two different sects of Islam, and then just understand why there's a lot of religion can be really, really silly. Okay.
And I think that's kind of
Like they murder people.
Yeah.
Like en masse. They murder each other over what is largely a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That happened like 800 or 900 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
And that's why
I learned that
hey,
during the second Gulf War. I learned that because I was against what Bush was doing and what Cheney was trying to push on the American people, which was bullshit. And that, Iraq fucking attacked during 9/11. No, they fucking didn't. But I was trying to understand the politics and religion and culture of that region so that I could better understand the news, because a lot of people don't. But they play on that, and Zen is a Buddhist term, and then Sunni, and so there was Zen Sunni and Zen Shia Muslims, or Zen Sunni and Zen Shia in the prequels. and they all they end up coming together and forming the Fremen when they all get isolated and exiled to Arrakis. And this is before the spice. This is before anybody knows what the spice can do.
Yeah.
Again, that's the prequels. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and it's another thing that's so good and well developed in this story is like how Chani goes from admiring him, falling in love with him, being with him, and then like trusting him, but then again seeing him start to believe his bullshit. At one point he's kind of like,
Am I the Messiah? I don't know. I could be. I'm not ruling it out.
it's pretty much what
what's that from?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But she's like, hey, promise me you don't go for power, and he's like, he's all I'm saying is,
Am I the Messiah? I don't know. I could be. I'm not ruling it out.
That basically is what he says. He's like, I don't know.
could be. But there's a moment where they're together where she says, promise you'll love me forever is what she says. And he goes, as long as I'm breathing, or is what he replies with.
Well, he knows that he might die in this fight with Feyd-Rautha. And he also knows that if he lives, he has to make this union with Irulan to cement his claim to the Corino, the throne. Which is Shaddam Corino is his full name. Shaddam the Fourth, Emperor Shaddam is.
Oh, Christopher Walken's
yeah,
character.
that's his character, and Irulan's his daughter.
We'll get to him.
One of his many.
No, he's the only thing that sticks out to me in this movie.
One of his many daughters, and so that's why he says, "As long as I breathe, I will love you most," or something like that.
I'll love you as long as I breathe, or
something along those lines, because he knows that he has to, much like his father did with Lady Jessica. Although Leto never married. Leto, how do they pronounce it? Leto never married, but they. In this whole thing, Paul has to marry Irulan to cement his claim to the Corino throne, but Chani will be his concubine, much like Jessica was to his father. And I don't know if I remember the Chani and Jessica being so at odds in the book. I thought they were closer, but obviously they both have different needs and wants from Paul, from Muad'Dib. Shai Ulud.
Also, I forgot to mention after that ceremony, Paul goes further to push away the prophecy by saying that, like, you don't understand, like, she knows how to transmog poison, so she's been trained to do this for years. And again, that adds to her having this mission. Like, Lady Jessica is going to make this prophecy she is going to make him Muad'Dib. She, like, you are meant to do this because this is what the Bene Gesserit want. But also, they're working against them because they want Feyd-Rautha to take over Arrakis. So they send one of their. We see a different Bene Gesserit go out, and she seduces Feyd with like pheromones, and she's
not a Bene Gesserit. She's Bene Gesserit trained. Margot Fenring,
but
Lady Fenring.
She continues the bottom line.
Her and her husband have a much larger role in the book, much larger.
But yeah,
but it's not really
she
important.
seduces him with her pheromones.
There's a lot of fans of the book who
her
have
games.
glommed onto Fenring as like this, both of them as like these, oh my god, you have to have them in the adapt. And like, no, you fucking don't. You can just put them into another character. It doesn't, you can just glom them into or amalgamate them into another character. It doesn't matter. But I liked how they had her. But yeah, she was Bene Gesserit trained to receive the seed from the bloodline, which is...
She has to continue the bloodline, yeah.
Some of us refer to it as fucking.
Talking about
fucking.
But yeah.
But they did the Gom Jabbar with him too. Remember the first movie they did it with Paul?
Yeah. And she said he likes to be humiliated, he likes pain.
Well, they were right. That was an assessment of his like whatever, but it starts off with her saying like, "Hey, I'm going to test you with this, and then I'm going to get your seed
Yeah, pretty much. Because she's like,
I need it."
I didn't know that she was releasing pheromones, but then I found out that they can do that. So I was like,
Oh, dude, Ben and Gesserit are bad motherfuckers, dude. Bad motherfuckers.
But this is what I was
They're
talking about.
fast.
This is another thing we were talking
and
about.
they know
We were
ninja
talking about
moves.
this before we went on the air, and I think this is what's so smart about what Herbert did with this idea. Even in the 60s, you want to talk about how he did with X-Men and how, it wasn't meant to be this thing, but it is kind of similar here. Do you really think he was making a comment on feminism and controlling their bodies? Because
and
that's
wieners?
Well, no, because that's what they're doing. Because in this world, you can choose the gender of your baby,
Well, I mean,
which is the whole big deal about Paul and Lady Jessica and Leto and that whole situation, and you know what I mean. But we also find out about
not everybody can do that. I mean, just the Bene Gesserit. Like if you're Bene Gesserit,
that's what I'm saying.
trained,
That those
you become
characters,
pregnant,
like
you'd be
I think,
okay.
is I'm sure there's some essays about the meanings behind
in
that. But you know what
the
I mean.
the way I understand it, like in the book, they talk about like the transmogrification of poison,
Yeah.
which is what Jessica does with the water of life. That's what everybody does who drinks that shit. It's Bene Gesserit training. Okay, it's just basic physiology. They have better control over their physiology than we can ever even dream. Like they can, if they get poisoned, they can isolate it in their own bloodstream consciously and then expel it. Isolate it and expel it at some point. Like they can, you know what I mean? Like they're superhuman.
Which again is
and not
is,
like Superman. They're just they're
it's-
the upper limits.
It's
of,
also
yeah.
it's also brilliant because that's how he starts to win the non-believers is this thing, all this stuff.
Mm.
And then so at some point he's like, all right, well, I have to drink from the water of life. It kills men, but I have to do it.
Well, he has to see the golden path, and right
he
now
has
he can't.
he can't. Yeah, he doesn't. Like he doesn't know the rest of the story. He
Past
needs
a
to know.
certain point of his prescience, because he has prescience at this point. He can see stuff in the future,
dreams
but
are visions.
but he can't see what it is or exactly, and he can see the future to a point. But it is the point where he drinks the water of life.
Which we find out how the water of life is made.
And in the book, he
is
can't see
sandworms.
anything past that.
Isn't that crazy? They take sandworm poison.
We'll get to that, but he can't think about that. He can't see anything past that moment where. So he doesn't know. He doesn't know himself if he's gonna die.
Yeah.
But he knows that he has to in order to see what goes past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool. I really liked how they made the water of life.
So they catch the sandworm. They stick a thing in it. It takes out this like venom that's like blue. They put it in the water.
Well, it's the death. The
So-
death
yeah,
juice.
Yeah,
of the
because they drown.
Because
right?
sandworms are allergic to water.
Yeah, because they're in the sand.
Yes.
So yeah, they kill it. They take the juice.
The interesting thing, and they don't talk about this in the first book, and they kind of learn it later on in the series, but the think about the sandworm as like the ultimate Pokemon. You know how Pokemon have different stages?
Yeah, it's like the
right?
most evolved Pokemon.
Sure.
The
So
sandworm.
right. So think about the one below that as called a sand trout. Okay.
Yeah.
Now those sand trout are, I believe, also allergic to water. I think, but they exist in the spice blows, like underneath, and they're kite shaped and they're flat. They're not exactly fish, but they're called sand trout. And oh god, it's just really interesting because the way that somebody is killed later on in the series is because they're allergic to is because sandworms and sand trout are allergic to water and stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that
But
like
that's how they
that's
make
why
the water of life. He drinks that. He sees the future. He sees Arrakis. It has water. It's the paradise. And then he sees his sister, who's Anya Taylor-Joy, which I was like, oh, interesting. Also seems like, okay, we're hedging our bets.
well, I don't
Because
know
she
how
plays
they're
a much bigger role in the next story.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I don't know how they're gonna do that because,
She's already born, right? Because
I can't remember the gap. I know there's
also a
there's
child
a time
with Chani
jump.
and Paul.
Yeah, they have two kids, a boy and a girl.
Later, though.
Right.
But there's one
I
in
can't
this
remember
story,
the.
right?
I can't, what?
Never mind. I'm sorry.
Actually, I think there's 3.
because wasn't there one in this one that dies, and then they have the other
think
two,
so,
the other ones
yeah.
later? I don't know. I'm sorry, I sidetracked you, but
No. Yeah. So what was I talking about? The kids. Yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy has not in the book. She's been born at this point at the end of the
Right.
movie. And again, she is born as like an adult. Like, so she's a baby, and she'll be like, "Hey, I just shit my pants," like
Yeah.
that.
she's all knowing.
Like, "Hey, I just shit my pants.
Yeah,
Can you change my diapers?"
Instead
Like,
of-
not
instead of
like
crying.
not like your baby, not like
Yeah.
your baby. Like, "Hey, that pants on pizza." She's like, "I want some fucking pizza." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's freaky, right? In
Yeah.
the book, she's referred to as an abomination, and a lot of people, a lot of adults who have like any interaction with her are like, ugh, because it's fucking creepy, right? It's creepy. This child like has all of these visions of these women from like centuries past, right?
yeah, because
So they're
she
com-
absorbed what.
So they have all of the
With
sex
the water
education
Yeah.
already. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's creepy because like they know how to manipulate people. They know how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have the Bene Gesserit training before she's even like, I mean, as soon as born, you know? I mean,
It's weird, yeah.
it's fucking crazy. And her story is really tragic. Anyway, the reason why I'm saying I don't know how they're going to do that because Anya Taylor-Joy like say Villeneuve takes 5 years to make the next one. And I'm not sure what the time jump would be. But I don't know.
Also, keep in mind, there's this show called Dune Prophecy that's going to be about the Bene Gesserit.
Okay, that's still happening?
Yeah. I think I heard that it's already been filmed.
Because by the point of Children of Dune, Anya or Aaliyah is his sister's name. Aaliyah of the Knife, Saint Aaliyah of the Knife. What a fucking badass name. She's the one who kills the Baron in the book.
Oh, okay.
She's a child, but she kills the, or is that just in the David Lynch movie? Yeah, I thought it was that Aaliyah kills him in the book. Anyway, so by the time of Children of Dune, Aaliyah is a young woman. She's like actually her age has matched finally, you know, like her
Yeah.
personality or whatever. So she's probably like 20s, early 20s, mid 20s. So Paul's got to be, you know, almost 40 or whatever. So if you think about it, like Timothée Chalamet is, I think, younger than Anya Taylor-Joy, or they're very close in age. So
I feel
how
like she's
you would?
older. She's much older than him.
I don't think so. Not much.
No.
Maybe like 5 or 6
Yeah,
years.
yeah, not that much. I
'Cause
guess.
she's younger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up while you talk about the next part of the movie.
We're kind of jumping all over the movie. All
Fucking
over.
go to the next fucking
By the way, we
part.
crossed the hour mark. Just talking about this movie.
You are an hour.
Listening to Dune.
Listening to Dune. Okay, so Timothée Chalamet.
Chalamet. He's
Chalamet.
also. I want to say he's great in this.
Is 28.
And I think it's.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so she's probably like around the same age. She's probably the same. Yeah, she's probably 28, 29. I want to see here. Give me a drum roll. Bra-ra-ra-ra-ra. Are you looking at it?
27 years.
Oh, he's older. Wow. See, I thought they were. Yeah, you're right. They're around the same age.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Is because you know what do you
For
do?
whatever reason, I thought she was like.
What do you do with that? You
I
know.
thought he was younger for whatever reason. I thought he was like 24.
Oh, now there's a dang article about Aaliyah. Dang it. All right, well, I'll read that later. The point is, yeah. Sorry, you go.
I think every arc is pretty satisfying for the most part, except for Raban's because he just kind of gets bitched out, which I was like, that kind of sucked.
Well, no. I mean, it does.
I'm sure it's the same in the book.
It does suck. But Raban is shown. I can't quite remember his arc in the book. I know like the first part before they. Up until they come back and eradicate the Atreides, I remember a lot of that, but I don't remember a lot of what else. He's basically a fuck up.
Yeah, no, and I think
but
that's,
he's the eldest, so he's technically like the heir,
Yeah.
I guess, to the throne. the Harkonnen throne. But the Baron wants it to be Fade Rautha.
Yeah.
So he basically does. When Paul comes to power and starts, making guerrilla attacks on the spice production that under Raban, it exposes Raban for what he is. He's a crappy leader. He's a shitty strategist. He's one of those guys who thinks drop a bomb on him and shit. But
Yeah, eradicate the rats.
if it was up to him, he'd drop atomics. But the Baron has to keep reminding him, hey, that would destroy the spice, you fucking moron. So no, you can't.
Which it makes Fade Rautha is more, like I said, more motivated. He's more effective.
He's like the Baron. He's sinister, but he's also smart. He's not.
He barrages that.
Raban is a fucking bull in a china shop.
What did the sanctuary place
Siege Tabor.
Siege Top? Yeah, he blows that up.
Raban is a fucking bull in a china shop.
Then he says,
dude.
go underground
right?
with his troops.
Right?
Yeah, and Raban is a bull in a china shop, doesn't know what he's doing. Fade is like, no, this is how we're going to attack, blah, 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 blah.
So that arc makes sense. It sucks that Batista got kind of bitched out more than... That's
what I mean.
kind of where you're going.
I know that.
Like,
That's what happens to that character, but it just sucks that it happened to Batista.
Right? Yeah,
Batista.
for sure. Yeah. But dude, he was in the Blade Runner.
Yeah. He was also in Spectre.
No,
the James Bond movie.
Was that Villeneuve?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm saying that he's already done 2 with Villeneuve. Like that's really cool.
I mean, the fact that he was even a part of this is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, he talked about how much he loved being a part of a movie and just having input and whatnot into everything and
when he loses it and he smashes that guy.
Yeah. He's a big guy, but he
gets his ass whooped in this movie.
If you haven't seen the new Blade Runner, what is it, 2049?
Yeah.
I have it. I own it, but I've only seen it once. I've seen it all the way through once, but I've seen the first part twice. And the first part is where he visits Batista's character. I can't remember his name. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's the farmer at the beginning?
He's the replicant at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, way to spoil it.
It's the beginning of the movie.
Pizza time.
Pizza time for a different Villeneuve
fucking
movie.
Pizza fucking time.
All right, back to the Dune.
Anyway, the point is that Batista is a very understated and very good actor.
Yeah.
And I think Villeneuve has given him that whole scene where he's trying to be just a normal dude, even though he wants to kill what's his name's character, Gosling's character, because he knows he's gonna find out he's a replicant and shit.
Yeah.
He's really understated in that scene and really, really good.
Yeah.
So here's to more of Batista.
Not in this franchise, because he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, shout out to Gurney being awesome.
Gurney,
I was legitimately excited to see Gurney in this, because again, I didn't know
don't think
he came
we've
back.
ever heard anybody play the Balisette, so that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he has that musical background.
He's known as not just a master swordsman, but also a master
singer.
troubadour.
Yeah, and that's why
all the ladies love
Paul.
Gurney
In the first movie, Paul messes with him. He says, "Sing me a song," and he's like, yeah, "Fuck off,"
Well, yeah. The point is that he's like, "Sing us a song instead. I don't want to."
Yeah.
Like, oh, you fucking know, motherfucker.
Oh, bitches. Oh, bitches. Well, it turns out his Gurney's training, because he's the best fighter in the galaxy. That also
he and
that
Duncan,
helps Paul.
Idaho. He and Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah, it helps Paul win over the Fremen. I will say, again, we keep jumping. I want to get to the main points, the things I want to talk about.
No.
They had to really fucking deliver on this sandworm shit. They really had to deliver on it, because they did a really good job in the first movie. We kind of see what was Javier Bardem's character? Stilgar.
I'm going to write some notes for you.
Yes. He's riding the worm, and it's kind of cool, but you're like,
Ride the snake.
But I think, this scene, I think they said it took 3 days to shoot because of how much practicality they had involved with it. Obviously, the worm itself is CG, but they tried their best to make it practical. and that's what took it so long because they knew how important it would be for this movie. And dude, it fucking is so effective. Because I'm like, I know it's two parts. Two things happen in this movie. I know that are going to happen, but when they do happen, it's told well enough that I'm like, fuck yeah. And it's all the shit with the fucking with him becoming the Messiah, and then it's also him with the fucking sandworm. And like how epic this movie feels. And how absorbed you are, where it's like, got that fucking steady beat coming, and he sets the trap, and you just know, you see it in the distance, it's building, and god damn it how well he uses foreground and background, where he's walking along the top of the fucking sand,
But
the
then he
worm
has
is
to
coming,
move the other way.
but you see it in the distance. The focus is pulled on the distance while you see him moving in the foreground, and it's like, that's just such a smart vision to see how to shoot that. And it's
I don't know if
how
you
much
noticed,
I love scale and
but I was crying during that part
when he finally rides it because
it's
cool
so
as shit.
fucking beautiful, dude. As a fan of the book, there were a lot of moments where I was crying just because it was so beautifully done, and him riding the sandworm for the first time was just so beautifully done. Him and Chani falling in love when they were doing the dance together.
Yes, when they're dancing and they're learning how to sand walk. It's like, yeah. Look at that. Again, visual storytelling. But when he finally hits it and you're sitting there watching it and it's barrage of sand, you don't see anything. Just sand is hitting you. And then there's a little bit of light. And then you see the sounds, and you see where his hands are, and his arms are stretched out, and then just visually all of that happening.
So what?
And it's such an emotional beat. The score is swelling.
So
like, you're like, fuck yeah.
They even talk about again, another of Herbert's strength is his technicality and his understanding of how to describe something. So he's not just like, it's a big ship,
it's a big worm.
It's a big worm, dude. Like, he describes this shit, and what you do is how you ride the worm effectively is, the first thing you're going to do is the worm feels something on one side. You can't think of it as like having a back or a front or whatever.
Turn.
Right. If it's up here, to get whatever's up here off, it's going to rotate. Exactly. So what do you do to keep the sandworm from rotating? Because it can just keep doing that and not lose, equilibrium. It's a fucking worm, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that maybe is how it travels almost.
I feel like it's like a drill.
Maybe. But what you saw that he was popping open those gills.
Yeah.
And what it is it's underneath the shell is skin, is very sensitive skin of the worm. And now the way that the worm is built, physiologically, you don't get irritation into that skin or whatever very much, if at all.
You have to dig with the hooks.
You get the hook, and what you do is you pull that segment back, and you basically expose that skin, so
it won't turn because it doesn't want the sand in its. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's really fucking technical for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like, and I will say this: it's really poorly done. But in the David Lynch movie, they kind of they show it. They show how he hooks up on one side. It's not nearly as dynamic, obviously, but he hooks up onto one side, and then the worm turns so that he can ride the top. Because the worm will put the
they don't want the
irritated
sand and the
skin on the very top of the
yeah.
Which that's
and then so
why do you think I love this book? Because it is so like well thought out. It's such a world before you even read the first word of that book. It has been thought out so well that there's nothing left to chance. It's so good, man.
And then just all the tech of like when they finally fucking shoot down the chopper, so because if the shield gets taken down, it's nuclear, so they get out of there and blow that tanker up.
Yeah,
and like again, like that is such a powerful scene. And there was a moment in the theater where we get to the third act. It's the final fight, and the Fremen finally join the fight, and they were fucking under the sand with sandworms, and they're popping up. and they're just shooting over the side of this sand dune, and I'm like, I looked at you and I was like, fuck yeah. Like, it's just like so much of this movie is like, let's fucking go. Like, it does such a good job of making me legitimately care about what's happening. And so like when they fucking come in riding sandworms, like 3 or 4 sandworms, I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
I don't know that they don't really explain the plan and the strategy as well in this movie as I thought. I know it, but I don't know if so. Like the shield wall around where Rakeen is and everything, and where the Emperor's ship is, it's like a huge mountain, basically a mountain range surrounding this area, right? So that's natural defense against sandstorms and everything. The sandstorm that is coming, the shield wall can pretty much withstand it pretty well. But what they're doing is they're taking all of their atomics and they're putting it on that shield wall, like right here where the storm's coming. Mm-hmm. So everybody in the Emperor's thing is like, yeah, we're fine behind this thing. And all of a sudden, oh shit, they blow up an entire fucking mountain. Shit. I mean, an entire fucking mountain because they have all those. And then that's how they get, not only the storm does most of their work.
Yeah.
Because all that sand, you notice like
storm,
the fields was like getting
and then they brought in the fucking sandworms because you can't see in the sand and they're gonna eat up all the and
dude, it's a fucking brilliant strategy, right?
Well, and
but they didn't really talk about
and the
like,
fact
why,
that they say that he took the bait when they bring the Emperor to Arrakis. He took the bait.
That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to capture.
They're like, we're gonna get all of them in one fucking spot and kill them all.
Yep.
And that scene where he finally drinks the water of life, the tears of Chani, the desert spring, bring him back to life.
The tears of Ibad. The eyes of Ibad.
And he sees everything. This is where he finds out the Baron's his grandpa. This is where he talks to his sister. He said, I talked to my sister, blah, blah, blah. And then they have a conversation, and it's another shot inside the womb. And it's like, this is weird. It just
Dude, the CGI, the different shots and different angles they would show of the baby in the womb and whatnot. There were like, sometimes it was like from this angle and like the baby's like, it was really, really ethereal and really cool.
At one point, the baby does talk to her, and I'm like, this is. But hey, that's Dune, man. There's some weird shit in Dune. All right? You just gotta roll with it. But
so fun fact.
But that speech, I saw you, man. You were smiling. Because you're like, oh my God, he's Muad'Dib now. Like, this is it. The change has happened. When he comes out of that thing and he starts telling them the visions he sees, like he starts telling people what they dream about, things they think about, and like that's how he turns everybody to believe in him.
There's so much about this movie and so much about both of them, not just the first one, not just this one, but the first one too. That I mean, the first one happened during COVID. And so I literally woke up one morning at like 7 a.m. and fucking flipped on HBO Max and watched it on my TV. It was fucking awesome. It was cool as shit. But I'm so glad that I saw this one in the theater.
Oh my God, dude. You have to see this one. The only thing I regret is we didn't see it in IMAX. I kind of wish we would have.
That would have been cool. Yeah. And yeah, there were a lot of parts.
And we didn't get to fuck that bucket.
Yeah. There were a lot of parts that I was just gritting ear to ear because it's like, it's like when I first saw the Avengers, and they have that. People forget, but that they have a sequence at one point during the Battle of New York where they follow every Avenger at one point. Like it starts with Thor and Captain America, then it moves to Hawkeye, and then it starts with Iron Man and Captain America. Then it moves to Hawkeye.
Shot.
They go to each one in turn, and it ends with Thor and Hulk on top of the thing, and he punches
the worm. Yeah,
that's how it ends, right? But it's like they do a good job, and I was crying during that because it's like cool. It's like it's Captain fucking America, I mean, right? And this is the same thing. Like I am so passionate. I am such a passionate fan of this property and of this story and everything that I was geeking the fuck out, man, and I geeked out during the first one, and I was geeking out during this one.
That just tells you what the power of good storytelling,
imagination,
and the power of
imagination
what's cool. Like the power of cool. Like to get somebody like me who has never read the Dune books, never really cared about the Dune properties, never really, until I talked to you, I didn't really talk to many people that read it or anything. And then, but just, again, the confidence and the effectiveness of the storytelling of both these movies to get someone like me who's never read a Dune book, I want to read Dune Messiah because I want to know what like I'm invested in this story.
Oh, it gets fucking crazy.
And I don't want to wait, But it's so much of this movie. Like I didn't have that emotional attachment to you, but yeah, that point when the Fremen are riding those fucking sandworms, I was so emotionally invested. I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, this is gonna work," and I know it is, but I'm still like, okay, and I love that the strategic mind to, and then also the foresight to be like, I'm gonna lure both the Baron and the Emperor in one spot, and kill them both, or I'm gonna take his daughter, or that's how I'm gonna, build something here. But like that whole sequence is so crazy to me too. Like the whole, but how can you not just? It's such a dramatic movie, and then fucking Christopher Walken being himself, no fault of his own, just being like, Baron,
where's
the spice?
And it was like. Look, we went to a Iowa State basketball game one time at Hilton Coliseum, and we thought we were gonna get killed. Like that's how cult they were about their basketball, and they're smart as fuck about their basketball too. And everybody's cheering and shit, right? But there was like a deathly still moment because like a foul happened or something, and we're just sitting there, and like this dude, all of a sudden, a couple rows away, goes, "Let's see the replay." And he was so sincere about it.
Well, it was more like this. Let's check the replay.
Yeah, it was so sincere, but loud enough that like probably the whole Coliseum, because everybody was deathly still. And Jake and I almost died laughing, right? But we knew that if we started laughing, that they were going to turn on us. And that was kind of like this.
We did laugh out loud.
When Baron... Did we laugh out loud?
Like out loud, but we definitely chuckled. Because how can you not? It's like putting Nick Cage
It's
in
almost
this
like
movie.
we,
It's
it's
like, come
almost
on.
like it's. I gotta say when he said Baron, it was like I was expecting that. I wasn't, but now that you did it, I kind of was.
Baron, where's the spies?
Baron, where's the spies? Spice production has fallen
Baron, I feel like
into disarray
Baron,
during your tenure here
Baron.
as on Arrakis.
listen to me, Baron. It's like bad food. I got no spice. Get off Arrakis. What are you doing?
I don't like it.
Baron, there's people living in the South. You lied. You got bad intel. So anyway, all right. I mean, we could pretty much wrap it up. I mean,
Well, here's one thing, a couple things that I want to say about the movie that I didn't quite dig on. The final fight between Fade and Paul was good,
I liked it.
but
No music, just the fight. I like that.
the only thing I didn't like about it was that the end of the fight is not really how it's portrayed, as far as I remember it in the book. But whatever, I don't care. The point is that Fade loses. Second thing, we don't learn what that fucking black weird creature thing was in the first movie. I'm kind of disappointed about that. Was it a slig?
Was that not in the book?
It is. We don't know because we don't know what he was trying to make it because he didn't say. He said it would be revealed in the second movie because there's different things that it could be. A slig is that's pretty far because a slig is disgusting. That thing is too. But you notice it had human hands and feet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is we didn't learn what that was, so that I'm disappointed about that. And then the third thing is, and these are all drawbacks, but these are the only drawbacks about the movie. The third thing is, as wonderful and incredible as Christopher Walken is, it could have been any actor in that role, and maybe should have been. the role was not big enough. I think I mean, I don't think they really had to make. You wanted to get the right guy, but did it have to be Christopher Walken? I don't think so. It could have been.
Could have been anybody, really. He's the Emperor is such a small part in this movie.
Right? I mean,
he's really just there at the end of the movie.
You want to get a great. Well, no, he's throughout the movie. He's in the beginning of the movie.
Here and there, but like he's not
exactly his part. He's
sporadic, and he's not. Yeah, he's not
sporadic.
A big part. Sporadic
throughout the movie,
all over the place.
You don't see him
different points
for hours.
Florence
feels like hours at a time.
Florence Pugh had more screen time than he did.
She was great.
She was more impactful than he was.
She was really good.
Again, Sophie's choice, my daughter.
Hello, what are we doing?
Or Zendaya, what a choice.
What? A spouse. I'll give you my daughter's hand in marriage.
Just don't kill me.
Just don't kill me with my own knife.
Ow.
Oh.
That's the sound I'd make if you stab me.
Just don't stab me.
Don't.
It pierces my skin.
Dude, they have turned off. This is hour 25 minutes. They were like, fuck this. This is the worst review I've ever heard. Oh, sorry. Subscribe.
Not only was it the worst review I've ever heard.
Hey, how many times I gotta tell you?
It's the worst Christopher Walken's.
It's your fault. Be mad at yourself.
You clicked on this show.
You're the touch and bust.
You freaking... You
don't be Mr. Touch and Bust. Where the fuck is it?
Touch and bust.
There you go. you giggle. It's so funny. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.